10:32 on Friday, January 12th. I'm going to call to order our special council meeting for the town of St. Paul. Madam Secretary, you want to take roll?
David Gensler.
Here.
Mark Campbell.
Here.
David Dryden.
Here.
John Crow.
Here.
JT Trevino.
Here.
Robert Simmons.
Here. Good. Warren, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item number 2 is approval of our minutes of our last meeting. You want to go ahead and look at that, and then when you're ready, go ahead and make a motion.
So that will be a correction. The correction is in there as well as the council meeting from from Monday's meeting. These are not posted to the website until they're approved and signed.
Do we need to make a motion on 2.1?
Correct.
Just a date correction for December the 11th?
No, that was a date correction when I typed the agenda.
Okay, so that's already done. Okay.
So that was
So we
as
can do
for
that.
this agenda, so she has plenty.
That's our
She updated that one.
No, that wasn't an update. So here, no, it's just a correction for this right here.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, I make a motion that we approve 2.2, our regular council meeting, approve minutes from January the 8th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to 2.2.
So we don't have to approve 2.1.
You already did. It was to make the correction, which I did.
And we don't need to approve the correction.
Why don't you go ahead and do it, just to be on the safe side?
We just did.
Okay.
No, we
didn't.
did 2-2.
That was 2.2. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve 2.1 date correction.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Okay, moving on to item number 3 is approval of expenses. And 3.1 is review year-to-date budget
So-
for tax.
We are not gonna have that item. The CPA is going to be here on Thursday to finish that up with me. We were trying to get it done last week, and with the fiber optics cut out at the road by the contractor, left us a little short on time to do things, and then 2, he was remoting in and could not, so it was affecting everything, the server and everything, so we will be working on that this week and hopefully getting that finished up.
So this was thrown on the agenda for, we're taking this off the agenda, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we don't have it to consider. I thought we might could get it done, we couldn't do it, so too much, wasn't enough time.
Okay, thank you for that update. 3.2 is review balance of accounts. Go ahead and make a motion, when you're ready.
Was there anything standing out in this that we needed to be
No,
pinpointed on? We've got the taxes that came in, deposits.
Let's see. What were we doing on the other one? So what change we did on the other one?
is it normally that high?
The wild.
It's for,
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, they've changed it.
So it'll vary.
Right.
based on the
Is it
number of
based on,
calls.
Is that
we have a
average
slow
number?
month, we have a slow month?
We'll get an average of 10 to 15, something like that. Seems like the month of December, it seems like for some reason it goes up. I don't know if that's holidays, more people on the road or what.
We didn't.
That's what we got to do.
They've had it down like twice in a week.
It was literally discussion of signage, so why did we have a $3,000 bill?
I'll make a motion that we approve the balance of accounts.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Did you guys?
Well, I have a question about line item 1102. So the attorney bill that came in on December 11th, was that for the prior month?
Yes.
It was for the prior month? Okay.
Okay, so you good with that? Yeah. Okay, so I had a motion from Mr. Dryden and a second from Mark Campbell.
All in favor?
We already did that.
Aye.
Did we? What's that? I remember saying that.
yeah, there was a question on it here.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Got eyes
Yeah.
across the board.
Yes.
All right, and then, we're gonna go into our regular agenda meeting, section, and that is 4.1, discuss, consider act on the 2024 infrastructure project. Give us a quick update on that.
This is for planning purposes. This is a workshop. And, I know we talked about things Monday, at the meeting, or not, we didn't talk about things, we had a presentation, so we could take into consideration how, our engineer may be involved to help us going forward. There's been an interest to, get started early, which we usually do anyway, but, wanted to know from council, the infrastructure projects other than, right now as a target is the crack seals, level ups, just the general road maintenance.
We were supposed to get from the engineer a list of the top issues that they professionally recommend that we address.
Right.
Well, we already have the existing plan that was prioritized, and so barring there being something that's a higher priority that's come up, then I would think it's the next item on that plan until it gets updated.
And when has that plan been looked at last?
I
Can you
thought
tell
that's
me
what
what
we were
that
using
is?
as a roadmap to be able to do these items.
You
And
said-
I know that, I recall that we did at least the top 4 items on that list when it came out, I guess, 3 years ago. Over the next year, and I think we'd just keep cracking down that list.
Where is this list?
That is the June 2020 assessment that was done,
Can you make that
But-
available to those of us who weren't here in June of 2020?
Sure. You want me to
I
get it
do
now?
need to point out, let me point out real quick, that list, we did work on it, it was moving forward, and I've looked at it since, and it was never completed. I know we voted on moving things forward on the list, but, it got dropped 3 years ago.
So let's complete it. I mean, that's all I'm saying. The report was given to us, we started working from the report,
So
let's
do
just
we
keep
wanna
working.
start working from a new report? Is that the
No,
answer?
just keep on working on that one until we get the new one.
Until we get the new one, and then either as an addendum or additional.
Who generated this report?
If there's a report that we made on 3 years ago, there's obviously stuff that needs to be
Didn't do it.
updated.
Why didn't you
Now,
tell us they heard it?
the engineer said he was
So I
gonna
wanna see
take
a
a week
copy
to
of
get.
it. It's completed.
So,
It's somewhere.
Will you forward that to council
Yes,
when you get it?
yes.
Cause my suggestion is, I would like us all to review it, and we have neighbors that may wanna add things to that list. So,
That's fine, but this is the reason that we don't get projects done, because it takes several months for us to figure out what the hell we're doing. So if we have a list, let's start moving on the top item, the next in priority item on that, and then we can have all these other discussions about new lists, additions to the list, priority changes and stuff like that, but barring there not being anything immediately that has changed that, we need to keep trucking on that list.
Well, that's why I was insisting on an urgent, critical list that's now, not one that's 3 years old.
But I guess what I'm getting at, I don't wanna have another month or two go by.
That's
fine.
why I just asked for it as soon as we get it, which was.
I heard that we need to review it and that we need to have people add to it and modify it. And I'm fine with that. I don't have no problem with it, but in the meantime, whatever is the next priority on that list ought to be worked. Cause that's what we set in motion 3 years ago.
My understanding was he was gonna take this, use this as a base list and come forward with it. My concerns with the old list was there may not have been the proper engineering that went with some of the projects and,
But if KSA did the engineering on it, or the cost on
I
it?
don't know what engineering they actually did, I think
It was just, all it
land.
was a list with some notional ideas of how much it would cost based on TxDOT costing. And so,
And those costs-
it doesn't prevent us from taking the next item on the list, asking KSA to start the engineering for it so we can start getting progress made on it. And even if we decide, I'm not gonna say that part, cause I don't wanna derail the conversation, but all we've gotta do is take the next item, if it doesn't have enough engineering behind it, get KSA to do the engineering behind it while they're working on our updated plan. When the updated plan comes, then we can look at it and redirect. But we need to keep moving, otherwise we're gonna come to the end of the year and once again not spend the road budget money, which is
Okay, so
coming out
what
of our
we're gonna do
taxes.
is we're gonna
And we
go-
need to be spending that money, not just having it sit
What
in
we're
the
gonna
bank
do is go
account.
get that list, we're gonna go on the next item in order and get with KSA and we'll go forward with that.
Well, Robert, I think we're in agreement. I'm wanting us to take action on things that need immediate action and not wait months and have to wait for monthly meetings.
Okay.
That's why we're meeting intra-monthly, to
Okay.
start dealing with some of this stuff and not have to extend it out.
Correct, that's why we're here today.
I mean, what I heard from our engineer is that a simple drive-through can address some of these things that are more urgent and critical.
Right.
And we've got the money, it's in the budget, let's not wait, let's get it done. So if it's gonna take him a week to get that list, it's supposed to be next week.
Yeah.
So I would rather us get that list now, when it's available, and not have to wait for an actual board meeting to get it.
Okay, so you'll send that list out to us once,
Yes.
I'll get it to us.
With the weather conditions and stuff too, I'm gonna tell you right now that with him
Holiday
coming,
weekend
and with
weather.
him, yeah, he'll have that to us by the time it's probably, by the time he can get out here to drive the roads, and I'm also gonna say, when the bad weather occurs, it does cause other conditions with the roads that we have to start taking into
But I mean,
consideration.
he's
But
not.
he did tell us it'll be a week.
He has personally worked for us for 4 years.
Right, and nothing's been done,
So
there's
this
been
is
3 projects
not-
have been done out of this
is
book,
not a
right?
new relationship.
So why all this, I mean,
It's
The
not a
pro-
new relationship. He's been on our roads and been working for us for 4 years, so that'll be able to get to us something fairly quickly, what needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's at least 3, it's probably more than 3. I remember we did a couple of cul-de-sacs and we did, some work down on,
I just wait for both lists,
JT?
just gotta wait for both lists.
Okay. All right, item number 4.2 is discuss, consider act on furthering the education effectiveness of the Planning and Zoning Commission. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm reaching out to the other towns with what they're doing, and trying to come up with, something better than what the town has had previously, which is nothing. It's a very important, their participation is as important as council's. Their education is key to understand the projects. The town hasn't had the sophisticated projects that we've had over the last year and a half. And, as Abiel even stated, more difficult than most. So, they need to be a more effective group. Gary Sprague, who's our chairman, he's on board with all of that and is, wanting to pursue that and further that. So I'm working on that, checking with other towns, checking with the resources that I have, and, educating them on, ordinances, what they can and cannot do. I don't know, Rob, you might could elaborate.
Are there any vacancies on our P and Z
They're already gonna be considered today.
I'll have the floor when I get a chance, whenever there's time.
We do have 2 full-time openings, but we'll be discussing that in closed session.
Okay.
Well, I've already signed up to come to the next P and Z meeting.
You've
Give them a
already
little
said that.
seminar and perhaps give them a up-to-date handbook, which I do periodically. I get y'all, I think, on the board of adjustment.
For anyone that's not aware, is Robert Dillard, he's our attorney, and he's, to make sure that everything is cross board, we want P and Z involved in each process.
So we have, I think we still pay for a subscription with TML, right?
Yes.
So TML has provided this training in the past. A large majority of council, as well as all of P and Z, was there when we did it. I don't know how we.
Do you know when that was?
I don't, it was about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
We're still paying for
And so I know that, yeah, we still pay for it, as far as I know, unless we dropped our subscription to TML. I don't think we did, because our insurance is through them. So, I don't know why we wouldn't get a hold of them, and we can partner. The last time we partnered with Murphy, and there was at least 3 or 4 municipalities there, and we just do it again, you know, and if it's a distance away, we've got a budget for travel, and we can have people go to Fort Worth or, you know, Denton or wherever it is, and help pay for their travel to those sites. So I think we would keep doing that. It was a very good class. It was a whole day, and it went through all the ins and outs of planning and zoning, and what P and Z does, what council does, what we can and cannot do, and the difference between home rule and general law cities. So I think we need to heavily look into that, since we already pay for that subscription every year.
And I think where I was going more with the training too is required training.
Well, the required training is on open meetings and open records.
Right, but can
They can do
we,
that with a video from the AG's office.
but can we require them something above and beyond, or?
You can require anything you want to of them. They need to know what the functions are, and what the requirements are.
And we've had such a turnover.
The one good one is the one you brought up, was Robert's Rule of Law.
Mhm.
That's very good stuff.
I think we all need that training.
We don't really follow it.
What's that?
We don't really follow it, but I guess it wouldn't hurt.
It's good though.
Yeah. Maybe we need to tighten it up a little bit. So far, we haven't gotten any fist fights, so I think we're good.
Yeah, that's good. Everybody can disagree and come out okay, that's great.
Okay, anything else on 4.2?
So are we saying, do we need to act, we need a motion to move forward on training for
We
people?
were just discussing it.
Oh, okay.
I guess the other thing is the attendance can we require attendance?
I think we already voted for that.
For
Well, we voted in the.
Required attendance, we haven't done that.
We've already passed.
For P and Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to meet, I think we had to meet, they had to meet every other month at least,
We need to,
6 times a year.
Whenever they have business.
That's
they don't
it?
have to meet.
That's not-
If they don't have business, they don't have to meet at all.
Okay.
But as council, we can decide that they are to meet more.
We decided
We
on this,
did.
we
And I think
decided
we
on this
discussed
last year.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
We decided on this
Discussed that a
last
while
year.
ago.
Why are we bringing that up?
No, that's not the question, the question was
It's not
required
being
attendance.
Voted on or not, we're just, gotta get it done.
We're doing it again?
Well, there's no statute on attendance for
Okay.
P and Z members, but your ordinance says that, they may be removed for cause. And I think lack of attendance might be a cause. The state law does not require cause determination.
Can that also apply
Probably be
to?
removed at will, P and Z member.
So we,
Who does the removal?
The council, whoever appoints them, which is the council. And you have a hard enough time keeping people on the move, that a little bit of training at least. That's always difficult. In a small town, you find that there's a certain number of people that are willing to do these jobs. And so when you get one that's willing to do this job, well, hang on to them if you can. But, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, every time you get a new member, you've got new educational opportunities, because they don't come on having any experience at all.
And that was part of the problem we had, is we were limited in having to call, you know, P&Z
Well, you always are.
meetings, that are, to have something to review, and
And
that's why we were
if you don't have
talking
enough
about.
candidates to even fill the regular positions, then you can't also do the alternates. And your ordinance allows you to appoint alternates as well, and that's in case somebody's sick, has work conflict, is on vacation, et cetera. That they would come stand in for that person. But you'd like for them to also attend, you know, the meetings as well, find out what's going on.
And that was my next question.
So the difficulty is you get a learning curve with everybody that comes on there, because you're all smart people, but you don't have that experience of that kind of function.
Yeah, alternates should be at all the meetings, as far as.
They should.
I look at it, but they
It's
just.
hard to do when the regular members can't come, it's hard to make alternates do. Difficult in a small town, because you have a small pool of people who are able and willing to do the job.
Yeah. None? Don't it? Okay.
So this training that Robert recommended, is that something that we initiate?
I think it's self-initiated, I can send you the link.
The last time we partnered with Murphy had it at their community center, and they have a nice community center, it's about 40 people in it.
Yeah, I know I did it up at McKinney, and there was a lot, so it's out there, we'll get that to you.
You get it through TML, and if you're members, you can go get it through the COG. And I don't know if you are members of the COG or not, but the COG has lots of training classes. In fact, I've spoken to a few of them. And, they're pretty thorough and pretty quick, you know, an hour, 2 hours or something like that. Because, you know, they recognize you're all volunteers. You all have a real job, or those who are not retired, but.
Oh, no, I still work.
You still do?
Yeah, that was a wish.
But, so they try to make it as succinct and brief as they can. There are probably some good online things that you can access, but they're not gonna be as comprehensive or up to date as, you know, right now today. Because fortunately or unfortunately, you have a legislature that meets every 2 years, and they tinker with particularly plat approvals every 2 years. And zoning, not so much, but platting, but Leanne can tell you, it's a real problem.
Yeah, it's real fun.
To get everybody up to speed of what all that is difficult, so.
Are there any outstanding issues with P&Z now? Delays, not meeting,
No.
not getting stuff back to applicants, stuff like that?
We are, we have a meeting scheduled for this Tuesday, but we are gonna cancel it due to the inclement weather possibilities. The next P&Z meeting will be on the 30th with public hearing for an SUP consideration. We had one SUP consideration back in October. They're following up with additional information, and then that one will be scheduled subsequently.
This is why.
And we can be there.
Hey, David, this is exactly why we need to have defined scheduled meetings for P&Z, so they're not done impromptu. So so P&Z can plan accordingly, so you can have better track record of
Better
attendance.
So you're saying schedule P&Z meetings regularly?
As council
Going out.
meetings are correct.
So
This is
we're
what we
doing that.
discussed.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, we
doing-
discussed this a
Months
few months
ago.
ago.
Yeah, this is,
Yes.
yeah, we did decide on the third Tuesday, so,
Yeah, and then, you know, there need not be a reschedule, or a cancellation would be a reschedule or pushed off to the following month due to inclement weather.
Correct. And that was one thing that we talked about, then, if they don't have an exact thing for the town to look at, that's where we would go into the training and updates and stuff like that.
Exactly.
and that was a question that I had for you. Can we have an agenda item that is just training and be specific, so that if we do have, it's a standing item, so that,
You can, sure.
Are there citizen comments available at P and Z meetings?
I'm sorry?
Are there citizen comments
only
available?
public hearings.
No,
Okay.
they're not.
And are those recorded? P&Z meetings
Yes,
recorded?
yes, they are.
And Mr. Dillon, so if we were to implement that, that would also technically alleviate some of the shot clock issues,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
This is why we need to enforce this sooner than later.
I think what you need to do is you need to decide you and P&Z chairman need to decide what night of the month should be designated for their meetings.
Right, cause regardless of the shot clock, once it's submitted, then here's the set date. So, which is why I think we deliberated on the second Tuesday, was that right? Third Tuesday?
And have the members set aside the third Tuesday night or Thursday night of the month for their meeting.
Right.
And just program it for their whole calendar for the whole year.
Exactly.
If you have no business, you cancel.
Right.
If you do have business, they're expected to be there. And, you know, they don't meet every month, I don't think.
No, but
So it's
again,
not burdensome to,
having that, again, but I guess going back to that shot clock, that
yes.
alleviates some of the issues with the shot clock. Cause when somebody submits things last minute, well, that's fine, because we're gonna schedule you for the next meeting. Cause we have scheduled meetings.
I think the statute now allows you to establish a cutoff day to time with your next meeting, because the engineer needs to have time
To review it.
to review it.
Right.
Can I?
That's the real problem, is my
Right.
experience is the engineering looking at a plat, and I don't know how long it takes them to actually do it, but they have a stack of them for other cities.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to just wait your turn.
Right.
So they know the shot clock rules as well as you do, maybe better than we do.
Right, no, that's why we need to implement this, we need to at least get it on the schedule, on the website, so
It doesn't eliminate the possibility of calling a special meeting of P&Z if you run it up against the shot clock and you know that's gonna be a problem.
Right, of
I
course.
think most developers, rather than having to start over again, or
Would
having
rather
it denied,
conform.
would ask you to extend the time. You can't ask them, but they can ask you.
Right.
And then your P&Z can agree to that. And, you know, the shot clock is extended, because they don't want to start over again. And that'd be the result if you have the meeting, you're not ready, and just say deny.
Right.
Deny because we're not ready. Yes, that's right.
Can I ask that P&Z minutes be given, a council package?
Sure.
Like to, so we'll see what they're actually discussing and stuff like that, because to this point, there's been P&Z meetings, I don't know what they're doing yet.
Oh, well, they haven't met since you and I have joined.
Well, they did not,
They did.
they've done several,
Yeah.
October.
Yes, there have been meetings, and so.
How many times have they become?
Well, if you just include
met?
those
You were here.
minutes.
Oh, I was here? Never mind.
If you can just include the minutes with our backup.
Did we get copied on that, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Generally,
so-
they're only going to be meetings to handle a public hearing or to decide on a case that's pending.
We can't discuss.
Or for a plat. Now today, you mentioned training, so they don't just meet just to talk about state union. They meet to discuss.
Well, I understand, but it would be nice for us to be aware of
Sure,
what they're actually,
sure.
when they're meeting, what they're
Sure,
discussing.
absolutely.
And what the outcomes were.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And remember, their cases cannot come to you until they're through with them and have made a recommendation on a zoning case. A planning case, I think you took that out of your ordinance, didn't you, that the council has also.
Right.
So they're the approving authority on plat.
So they've got a P&Z meeting, and any of us are present. We're not present as a council member, we can't, we have zero discussion on it.
You
We're
are,
just
but you need to be quiet.
Right.
Let them do their thing.
Yeah, cause it's not coming to,
No.
nobody's talking to the council on it, they're talking P&Z.
Right.
So we do have it scheduled and planned that we have a P and Z meeting monthly, is my
We do now.
understanding.
We do now, yes.
Absolutely.
So
And,
set that date in stone, and then if there's no business to be had, cancel the meeting.
or training.
Or
Training,
I wanna say
anything that they have a
training.
reason, really, a real reason to meet.
For the next
That's
few
fine,
years,
if they
they'll
don't,
definitely be
cancel.
training the meeting.
You can cancel,
I
they can
think-
cancel it if you don't have business.
Training's a good thing because the information, like any other information, if it's not something you're familiar with or you understand, it takes a couple of times for it to set in. So even if you have repeat training on the same subject, or if you have someone say, look, I don't think, I understand it, we
Right.
cover the same thing, it's more is better than less.
And so we are acting on, furthering the education effectiveness of planning and zoning by doing that.
And I don't know that, I think
You
it's.
said we're acting on it.
I think it's more just a discussion than a requirement. Again, this is just for planning and trying to understand where everybody sits. I don't think there was any requirement there to act.
No, we're just discussing.
Okay.
Moving on, 4.3, discuss, consider act on agreement of outdated ordinances. I think what we discussed about that is gonna be done in-house by, the board and brought to council, and we'll vote on it. If there's any questions about that,
Yeah.
go ahead, sir.
So, we went into the contract with Franklin to be able to put our stuff online, and part of that, as I recall, was that they would help us with these updates. And if they had counsel, they had multiple lawyers in-house, and that they would help us do these kinds of updates every year, as they, every other year, unless there's special sessions for the state, to be able to keep us up to date and to help us make sure that the ordinances are not outdated. So, have we worked with Franklin? Can we work with Franklin to do this? I think they do this for a living, you know, so I'm not gonna try to work on transmission, I'm gonna get the guy that does transmissions. So
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Franklin's not here, we're here, our council's here, that we kinda know what's best for the town. I think what we were doing with Franklin was that we would write it and send it to them, and they would evaluate.
Okay, well, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're just talking about we're out of date with what the state has flowed down, I think that's something that obviously, we're not gonna just give them the keys to the kingdom. I'm not saying that. We have to approve all ordinances that change.
Correct.
But, but they could give us the updates that need to be done, and that would give us, you know, maybe a step up on what we're doing. If it's something customized to the town, I get that. We need to do that in-house. I'm not talking about those situations. I'm just talking about situations where we're out of sync with what the state has
So
passed.
new state statutes.
Yeah. Such as fees,
Well, then,
cause there's all
yeah.
kinds of rules around how much fees we can charge. And we already updated that once. I don't know if we need to do it again. I don't know if they've changed that or not. That's one thing the state, for general law towns, can affect. They can set the limits on what those fees can be. They usually go up. They don't always go up. Sometimes they go down. But that's one of the things that Franklin can help inform us on. And then, you know, like we talked about with the plating, with plating changes, Franklin should be able to help us inform what our changes should be. But yeah, you're right.
I think we're on the same.
I'm not talking about,
We're no different.
I'm not talking about, customized things for the town.
Yeah.
That certainly should be still done by us, and Franklin could help, you know, review it, make sure we're not doing something out of step with the general law.
Definitely.
Class A city, I think is what we are.
Mhm.
So that's all I'm saying, is engage them, make sure that we're using them to help supplement the work that we're doing.
Okay. You got something, JT?
Yeah, so we're waiting on KSA, we also bid out from Franklin, but that was the whole purpose of the committee, to work in line with everything. Don't we have to vote out as a panel, as a quorum, to eliminate the ordinance committee?
You're talking about the citizen committee that we were gonna have, and then all of a sudden we found out Monday that it was not, we weren't gonna have it.
Right. So, I mean, this is just, right, so that's just the third option, so. I mean,
Why was the
you can't-
citizen committee disbanded? I mean, why was it?
I personally,
Mayor?
Because nothing that the KSA person gave to us, said that we need to not have citizens involved. with
No,
ordinances.
that was.
No, we didn't, but that's one of the duties of the, board. And, that's why we're gonna have the board do it. Well, that's why we're considering having the board do it, I guess. Yes, we do have.
I just wanted a little bit more, we wanted to expound on that, couldn't talk about it last time. It wasn't on the agenda, so I'm utilizing this as an opportunity to discuss it.
Yeah, I just think, well, not I, but, like I said, the board should be looking at it, we should be working with the board's gonna bring it to us. That does not mean that our citizens can put their input, send it to us, and we can have the board consider that.
So I'll go back to my original sentiment of, does the board need to officiate the cancellation of the committee?
You mean council? I believe we
Can
would.
we use that term, we're talking council.
Correct.
Yeah.
Council.
Let's make sure we're using the same terminology.
Okay, yeah, yes, if the council voted it, in, then we would have to, or council would have to vote it out.
So then it's currently still in. a-
Still in effect.
Yeah, we did not vote it out yet.
We can have that on the next agenda.
Okay. Cause that was a surprise hearing that it's been disbanded when we didn't discuss it.
I mean, I apologize, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Why, if we have P and Z who needs to be educated on the ordinances, and the ordinances need to be looked at and evaluated, is that not, and they are volunteers of the city as well, is that not a better avenue and a shortcut? To me, the committee part is gonna slow it down, and it's going to convolute it, because we're gonna be coming straight from experienced people. I mean, the ideas come in, they go to experienced people who can look at this information, not from the low level, but someone who's experienced in this. We've got Franklin, we have our attorney here, we have KSA, all people who deal in municipalities all the time, who are.
Nothing's getting done now, so, I mean.
But I'm saying, let's get it done faster by shortcut.
We
Two people.
are all volunteers.
Right.
We are all inexperienced in a lot of areas, but,
Appointment of the task is not gonna get it any faster than when you have somebody volunteering, coming up to the plate to say, hey, I'm willing to do this, the engagement's already there, is, right, so, versus having to seek out or task and designate, this is something that should be done already, and it's not being done. Yes, as a council, we should be able to say, hey, why haven't you guys done this? I think is that within our legal compound?
let me ask clarification. Council approves ordinances and changes, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so ultimately, we are responsible for it, but we should be able to engage more with P and Z and with city, volunteers to help make recommendations to us.
Sure.
Because if it's up to us to do it, we don't have the capacity to get it done.
And that was another thing, it was another meeting where, a few, citizens that were on that couldn't make meetings. We tried to have 2 meetings, I believe, and we just couldn't get everybody together. It was asked for people to read over the Roberts Law, Rule of Law, and that wasn't done, so. Again, you guys wanted to sit there and say, we don't wanna spin our wheels, keep spinning our wheels, month to get ordinance changes. This way, we're putting it on the board, get it done, get it to council.
We're pinning it to the P and Z we're pinning it to the P and Z to do their due diligence with our attorneys, blessing or advice, recommendations, and all that, so. It's cutting down the number of cooks in the kitchen. Let's pin it down to, let's have our P and Z do their job, and council do their job.
And that's what we're going at right now.
And by doing that, and I'm not trying to knock anyone out from the community, but we can only have so many people involved at any given time. Right now, it looks like we've got, what, a dozen people lined up, between our P and Z and city council. So, based on that, I did not see the need as shorthanded as we are, in reaching out and creating another group that needs to be dealt with, monitored, trained, and brought up.
Well, all that may be good, but we've already done it. So we already have a committee.
You're right,
So we can't just unilaterally cancel a committee that we've already agreed to have.
It's not on the agenda today to do anything, but y'all have already, by consensus, I think, agreed to put it on the following agenda, consider whether or not to just abolish that committee.
So we can
And then,
discuss
but
it
also,
on
we
the
gotta
next
also point
agenda.
out too, is, you know, before we talked about abolishing that committee, people that were on that committee, were asked to apply for the P and Z position openings also. So it wasn't that we were just cutting
Okay.
our citizens
No,
out,
that's
they were
great
asked
to hear.
they wanted to be on P and Z.
It was a surprise to somebody in our last meeting that's on the committee that there's no longer going to be a committee, and it was also a surprise to me.
It happened, yeah, it's gonna happen, or it might happen.
No, it was told on Monday that it has been.
Because it was brought up in citizen comments, it's.
And we should have responded.
Well, I think you need to drill down a little bit on a couple of things. One is to what ordinances really need to be revised or reviewed. And secondly, how do you do it? I think what you've got is something that's gonna require, and I got plenty of work, and I don't need, I'm looking for more work, but I'm willing to do it. I think you need a professional look at ordinance 1, 2, 3 to mainly eliminate conflicts with state law.
Absolutely.
But also unfortunate wording or wording you don't have authority to do, because this was probably copied from some, home rule city. So it's possible you've got an ordinance that the general law city doesn't have authority to do. I don't know.
Well, we were
That's the
told,
main
we
thing.
were recommended by our long-term engineer that we have a comprehensive review of our plan. Great, we need that. But we can't do it quickly, we have other emergency, more immediate things that we've got to address.
Correct.
That's why he was gonna produce this short list of things that we should address quickly.
So I was gonna say was that either that could be done by the engineering company, they typically do a lot of that on subdivision ordinances particularly, because they deal with them every day. But secondly, I don't know what Franklin does in the way of telling you what ordinances you need to fix and how you fix them.
I was expecting.
I don't think that's their.
They told us that they would regularly update us on what needs to be updated. That's part of the reason we went with them.
They would
Because they were here,
recommend
they were
changes.
based here in Texas, and that's what they do.
I don't know very well who they are, but
And I would expect our engineer that's on retainer guide, whether it's us, P and Z, or a citizen committee, on things that need to be done, and they're not having to figure it out. I would assume there's some professional.
either me or the engineers or Franklin, that's what I was gonna say.
Right, I was gonna say, well, why aren't we soliciting you for our services to advise us that we're in direct, what's the word I'm looking for?
Conflict.
Conflict, yes.
Yeah, so in my mind, the reason we didn't is because we had Franklin to back us up. That was the backstop, and because they did give us, when we first sat with them, they did give us a full list of all the things we were out of line with. And their costs were less than having a lawyer, billed by the hour, nothing against lawyers. So, I still think that we need to hit them up and say, look, where is this report? Maybe we missed it, we have a new, town secretary, perhaps you're still sending it to the wrong person. And look at what that has, and that would be something to get us kind of jump started. Like I said before, it's not gonna be the end all be all, and when we have new things that are specific to this town, then maybe that's when we engage with Dillard, Mr. Dillard, because that's a good point to engage with him, because he's gonna be able to look at that nuance that's very, very specific to St. Paul.
Is there any other services that that revolve around the ordinances that we've utilized in the past and or are paying for that we haven't known about. So, right, it's KSA, and this is the first time I hear of Franklin. Is there anything else, so, that we utilize, other than Mr. Dillard?
When Franklin volunteered that when we had special projects like this, we could engage them, because again, they have a bunch of
Paid
people that
service.
do that kind of thing.
Actually volunteer, is it
Yeah.
paid service?
Yeah, they got, people that are steeped in this kind of thing. That's what that Mr. Franklin built, that business now. It's been sold from what I understand, but it's been around for around 30-something years, and he built it around ordinances and state code.
Well, Mark, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I had two, actually. One relates to what, Councilman Simmons has been discussing about Franklin. In your time you've been here, Leanne, there has been several state legislature changes. Has Franklin ever reached out to you and said, hey, there's a change, you need to update? Okay, so that does not happen. Are we responsible to approach Franklin to say, we need to update to X, Y, Z law?
I send them any ordinances, that we've had, but we haven't had anything that's changed. It's all been election ordinances
Okay.
or tax ordinances or the general run of the mill. We
So
don't
the
have
idea
anything.
that Franklin's gonna contact us may be far-fetched is a good word. Or maybe an objective they once put out but has fallen along the wayside.
It's not that far-fetched. It's just we may not have the right contact
That,
information.
and that's what
Right.
I'm trying to point out.
I mean, the companies that provide this kind
We're
of service.
pounding on Franklin does this, Franklin does this, Franklin does this.
I'm saying that when they
But
came
no,
with their,
Franklin doesn't
well, when
do
I'm
that.
saying when they came with their sales pitch, that's what they told us. Now, if they're not doing it, we need to hold their feet to the fire, is all I'm saying. I agree with you, maybe it's not happening, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's I'm not saying that.
That's all right.
If somebody's got the floor, let them speak, because going back 2-3 people, we're not.
I guess I
following it all
got
the
triggered
time.
off the far-fetched thing, sorry about that.
No problem, I understand.
All right, the second question I had is,
Can I answer, or say something about that?
Yes.
I think the onus would be on us to contact
Franklin, and that's my opinion.
to be honest with you.
But I was just asking, trying to understand, Franklin said this, have they ever done this during her term? That was the question.
Not that I know.
All right, second question was, we mentioned P and Z and ordinances. P and Z is responsible for certain ordinances, but not all, correct?
So,
That's right.
Just zoning. So when we lump a
Zoning, so-
general thing like we did on this dais, we said P and Z will take care of ordinances, that's not correct. P and Z will take care of planning and zoning ordinances only. As a board of administrators or council, we are responsible. Not only for what P and Z comes up with in the approval, we're responsible for any other ordinances that need fixing and changing.
Well, you're the only body that can pass an ordinance.
That's right. P and Z can recommend it.
Correct.
They cannot institute. And that's something that I think we need to keep in mind when we're talking about this stuff.
and just like the ordinance for the, putting in place municipal court,
Yes,
apparently that, we had discovered that had not been correct from the dawn of time.
from day one, yes.
That's been a lot of years that's
And-
on, so
and
that
that's
is
on
my
us to
concern.
fix.
That's on us to fix, and that's my concern for having qualified, competent, educated people.
Trained people.
Trained people looking at this information, so we,
Right.
and I say we, I don't live here, I work here, as a town, y'all have it right.
Who currently don't exist.
Yeah, we can't claim
The-
we
the
can't say at one
qualified,
minute.
educated people
Right, we
don't
can't
exist.
say that they're not coming, they're not trained, that we've gotta get a bunch of training for them, and then turn around and say that they're,
Sorry, I didn't
I don't agree with that either, that's talking out of both sides.
mean to interrupt, my apologies.
I'm sorry, I'm not following that.
Okay,
comment.
one of the
people
things,
that we have coming in are not currently.
Yeah.
not-
well, anytime you have new people coming in, you have to be up to date on what we're doing, so, but
I'm not saying
realistically.
who's coming in, I'm saying let's start with that.
Right, so what I think what we need to do, and, Dan, you've done a great job in the past couple of years, getting us a lot of information that, most of us never even knew existed. Information that was pulled out of attics and elsewhere. And so unfortunately, the past few years, there's been a lot of wheel spinning. And we need to put it in four-wheel drive and not worry about anything that's happened in the past. And we're dealing with
The future.
24 and on. And so whatever we did 2 years ago, or Franklin did for us 5 years ago, we need to take another look at it.
Yep.
See if it's legitimate.
Right.
If it's legitimate, we pay them and make them do the job,
Right.
or we fire them
That's fine.
and move forward.
Yeah. They were the best at the time, I'll give you that. They were the best price, they knew
Right.
Texas law, the other
And-
people were not in Texas, and they cost a lot more.
Yeah.
And so maybe we, you know, the previous, secretary, maybe they didn't, cause they pretty much ran that. And so maybe they
Yeah.
didn't,
And I-
maybe they didn't pass along the right, I don't know, maybe we didn't get the right package, I don't know. But I know that when they were here in this room with 3 people pitching it to us, that these things were said. And so, yeah, only reason that we need to bring this up is that there is history behind it.
There
You know,
is.
I'm, you know, whenever I go into any organization, the last thing I wanna hear is we always do it this way, cause that's not a good excuse. But if we've done it this way in the past because of sound decisions that still make sense today, then that's legacy, and we do need to continue that if it makes sense. So, yeah, I agree with you. Let's go revisit these folks. That's all I'm saying. With TML, with Franklin, was we need to go revisit them. We already did it with KSA, so that we've got one knocked out in my mind, because those are the 3 in my mind. It's KSA, Franklin, and TML. And so we just need to go revisit them, just like you said, and see where we're at. Are you still able to provide what we need, and see if we can get, supplement the staff, because we only have, what, 1.5, 2 staff, right? So we've got to supplement.
I think part of the problem with Franklin too is, the representative that was here giving the speech, you know, and all that back then, she's no longer with the company.
They got
right? So I
bought,
think when,
right.
Yeah,
you
2020
know,
came and went.
When,
Well, they got
when
bought
we lost our
both
rep,
times.
we kinda lost contact.
Sure.
I don't wanna say we lost contact.
Yeah.
We lost that.
And the other thing that
Relationship.
we're always up against is that we're the smallest fish in the pond, because we're a small town. But, you know, we're not the smallest in the world, so we still got some, we're willing to contact them and talk to them. So we just gotta get back in their loop, it sounds like to me.
Yeah. I agree. And that's, you know what, to be honest with you, in a nutshell, that is kind of what we're following, and we're seeing in
Sure.
everything, not everything, but a lot of things within the town that
Right.
was how it was done previously
Right.
to how it should be done today. And we're trying to bring the town up to today, to
Right.
get stuff done correctly.
Okay.
So 4-4.
You know, it kind of used to be a handshake and a wink and,
Yeah.
you know, and we're trying to get away from that.
Well, I just don't think, that all of those were bad choices, though.
Right.
No.
So let's not throw it all out, right?
No,
So
so that's
we
why
do
I
need to
corrected
revisit-
myself and then.
Yeah, but I do think we
change.
need to revisit it. You know, we need to go back to Franklin,
100%.
we need to go back to TML and say, here we are, we've lost contact, it seems, or, you know, what do we need to do? Whatever those, relationships that we need to be rebuilt need to be done.
Yep.
Very good.
Just establishing the roles
Yeah.
of our existing resources.
Yeah.
And if they're still viable, if they're not, then we find a new one.
Yeah.
We good with that? Move on? 4.4, discuss, consider act on creation of list of topics for future consideration and any applicable timelines to prepare for productive council workshops.
My goal is either for you all to provide a list, each of you provide a list, maybe of your top 5 or 6 things. And then we put them in a proper form, talk about getting them done, when you wanna see them done. We talk about a lot of things, unfortunately, there's just not enough time, and the projects keep mounting, but there's day-to-day work, so we have to figure out how to get these done and when to get them done. Whether somebody here wants to take a subject and move forward with it as a council member. But I'm just asking for y'all to come up with a list and, give me a list of what you want to accomplish, because I have a ton of things, and I'm one, I'll just keep taking on and taking on and taking on, but there's just only so much you can do.
Now, that's
That's what
what you're
we want.
asking about.
Yeah.
individual ideas brought up, sent to you, or do we form a workshop, get together as a council, make a list, submit that to you? Which would be the preference?
However
Either
we
or.
get it done.
However we get it done.
I mean, honestly, I've been holding back on topics for you, and this is kind of opening up a can of worms almost, because I don't want to burden the town with any more work than we need to do, because as you can tell from, I try to be consistent, I want to make sure that we get road work done, because that's the biggest item on our list that we do. We don't provide water, we don't provide electricity. Road works is the main thing that we do, and drainage, which is related, in my opinion, to road work. So I've been trying not to do that kind of thing. If we were gonna have special topics, it needs to be centered around that, maybe we need, for example, in the past, we've had the county small road work folks come in and talk with us and partner with us on what they're doing for Drain Drive and St. Paul Road at the time. And now it'd be Paul Wilson Road, maybe still something with Drain Drive, because we partner with them on streets because we own half the road and they own the other half, stuff like that, right? And then the other topic, that we've had in the past is we had Cheryl Williams, our commissioner, come in and talk with us about, these are things that we could do. I think we need to make sure that it's targeted towards things that we're trying to get done, not just extra, hey, this would be fun type stuff.
No,
That's my
what I'm
biggest
saying.
concern.
What is it what are the important things
Yeah. that
y'all see, so that, and if that's a general consensus, it's roads, then that's where we'll go. Roads, signs.
I think a better way to, maybe do that is, it doesn't matter what I want, it's what the citizens want. So I think we should do what the citizens want, and we should get maybe a survey out there to our citizens. We can take those surveys and we can, prioritize it by, we had 20 citizens say they want X done, we had 15 say this, and prioritize it that way. Which is gonna go back into the 1 week with.
Citizen comments have been fairly consistent.
Yeah.
Since on the however many months I've been on this council.
Yep.
Which is about code enforcement of existing ordinances.
Correct.
Now, roads, people expect us to work on those, it's a budgeted item. And other than that, the one road that we had to have worked on, we had a lot of citizen comments on roads.
Correct.
So we ought to be able to proactively do that, but it's about code enforcement, and so, we need to be enforcing the codes that we currently have.
Right,
Ricky, let me
so-
stop you right there and answer something real quick. We have one code enforcement officer that works on a weekend or two. So, do the citizens want us to bring in the code enforcement to work Monday through Friday?
Form a department?
Form a department? How are we gonna subsidize that?
We have plenty of reserves that we could afford to step it up to.
But the
3 days a
reserves,
week.
reserves are depleted over time. So
Can I-
how are we gonna maintain that position? Second of all, the parking issue has been brought up to us in council meetings over the last 6 months, whatever, correct? We are working on that. But also on that last meeting on Monday, it was brought up and it's clear, we can change our parking ordinance today, but it's not gonna affect anybody that's currently in business right now. And I think that's where the citizens don't understand. They think we can go pass an ordinance here today, and then we can go enforce it with everybody that's out there. We can't do that. This ordinance was passed in, I just want a date out there, 86.
I get
They were
that.
there in,
But a future SUP would be, we
Mhm.
could enforce it.
correct.
Or an amended SUP, or that, so.
An expiring SUP.
But it's not resolving what the citizens are
But we
complaining
can't-
about.
But you cannot just hold out.
Right.
And you just can't,
That's
you just can't
totally a
section
mess.
or focus in on one location.
Nobody's
It's gotta be
suggesting
the
that we
city
do
or the
that
town.
As a council, but in general, we've got code enforcement issues that.
So
Yes, we
code-
Right, and that's
So
kind of
can
what
I
we need
touch
to
on
start.
that right quick?
Let me say something real quick, yes, and we've never been able to enforce our laws because we hadn't had it in active court, which we just found out in the last couple of months, which is what we are trying to do currently, which was brought up a couple meetings ago. So, for this topic to be pointed at this current
council up here, it's not fair. Not fair at all.
It's not a judgment,
Because we-
it's just an observation.
No,
of
he's
where we
just
are.
making an observation, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean.
This goes back, like you said
Comments don't have to be
earlier.
criticisms,
Yeah.
it's an observation that right now, what I'm hearing is that code enforcement issues are probably the hottest issue
Mhm.
that we have from citizens. So
Correct.
if we're deficient in those, we need to be stepping up to figure out how to fix it.
And we are very deficient in quite a few of those, to include things like mowing. We've got multiple issues with that, but as we have learned, we can't make you mow without a court. And so that's why we've been processing this municipal court, so that we can get that in place, and that will allow us to put some teeth into the ordinance. So everything, you've gotta go step one, step two, step three. Without a court, you have no law. So the law, the court has to come first. We're working on that. And then, as anyone that was here, you guys were here on, Monday, my conversation with our engineers is, my priority is a parking issue. I'm hearing that loud and clear, and I wanna get that fixed. I've gotta get his input, and as you heard, it's gonna take 6 months for us to get that fixed, or get it taken care of. But once again, it doesn't affect anyone that is currently in the city. So that deals with our SUPs coming up,
Not passed.
not passed. Once again, it's 2024 moving forward. And we're gonna work on the other, we are working on the others, but we don't have a court to do anything.
Yeah, we're in a position where we're taking the horse from behind the cart and trying to get it back in front of it.
Right, and we've got an
Now-
attorney trying to keep us legal in the midst of all this.
And that falls back also the holes in our ordinances, or ordinances that are incomplete or outdated.
Or wrong from the
Or
beginning.
wrong from the beginning and need to be set right. That's, again, we're attempting to do that. And that's what I believe some of our agenda items today are about.
Mhm.
And I think we've already discussed that.
Yep.
So, since, for the last 2 years, it's been a fact-finding mission.
Yeah.
Low-level studies, that sort of thing, and it's hard when you don't have a good set of records, which I'll touch on the records in here in a little bit, but, been talking about the municipal court, how to get that done, finding a judge. There's more to it than just going, we're gonna have court.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
There's a
understand
whole
that.
thing, so
Yeah,
we all
we
know
know.
that.
But-
I've talked to Rob about that step, which we will cover, but, I've talked to Rob about that step. The other step is to address the mowing liens, or mowing issues, or cleanup issues, or if somebody just flat won't do anything. I mean, I've
That's where
got
we
one.
need to have our teeth for writing citations.
Hey, Rob, what's the most?
Rob has something to say.
Can I suggest that you do?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the most
The
efficient
agenda
way?
item is to create a list of topics.
Correct.
I think
Okay.
a good way to do it would be to ask each council member and the mayor to produce a list of, say, 5 things or 6 things, whatever number you want, that they think should be prioritized. Then somebody take those lists and, vote, how many votes for number 1, and so forth, coalesce that into a comprehensive list of 5, maybe more topics. If there are more topics listed, then you've got more topics. to
Which I
discuss.
began in
That's
that
the way you can get to the next point of what do you want to discuss? So, the only way I know what you want to discuss is if you say so.
Right,
So, tell each other what you think. Somebody said parking, somebody said potholes and road repairs, and that's certainly always high on the list. Nuisances, code enforcement, those are maybe speed on a certain street. I don't know, just fill in the blank. What do you think? And if you go into it, and I don't discount the idea of a survey, but that takes months to do, and if you wanna have a meaningful survey, you gotta hire a meaningful surveyor company to give you the real answer. I don't know that you need to do that right now. What do you all think?
Right, well, this is what
Yeah, what's
the
important to
agenda
you? What do
topics
you
are
think's
going.
important to the people you talk to?
Right. I mean, this is why we email items for the agenda, and this is why it's important for items that be requested to be on the agenda, get put on the agenda. And,
Yeah,
so I
we're
think
asked,
we-
we're asked every meeting to provide agenda items,
Right,
which is
so-
essentially a list of wantons.
Right, so do we really need to create another list? And if we wanted to, do we need to bombard with paperwork or several emails where it needs to be compiled? Or in the room that we have over here, there's a whiteboard.
Well, what I'm saying is that
And
kind of a list.
There's already
will give
items
the
on that
mayor
whiteboard.
And the town secretary something to fill in on the agenda that you really wanna talk about. Give it some depth and stay on that topic. Don't get around into
That's,
Stay on
municipal
topic.
court and whether we should have a code enforcement officer. Those are sideline topics, but they have to do with the main thing. You wanna stress code enforcement, you wanna stress road repairs.
And on
What do you
that,
wanna, what do you wanna stress? What do you wanna, you gotta start somewhere and prioritize.
okay, so with that thought in mind,
So,
if I feel we need to hire more people to do all this stuff, would that be?
That personnel would be an item you could put on there, additional personnel.
And again, my identifying whether we need additional personnel also dials back down to what is it we're trying to accomplish? That's another part of needing some type of list it's hard to find out what qualifications you need, what,
No, it's not.
people wanna know what they're gonna do. You have to be able to tell them, we also have to know,
Everything.
we have to know everything, we have to know, if we're gonna
Okay.
attract the right individual, then you have to have
Okay, let's get
some
back on.
benefits. So it's
So,
just, it keeps
so would you
going.
like us to email you a list?
I would like to have a list, at least so that, I mean,
Well, hold
y'all
on, let's
decide,
clarify.
I don't make.
Email or list of what we wanna see on the agenda?
Priorities, I think, is that what
Or
you're
any list of what,
Priority issues that
what?
council needs to be addressing.
Okay, well, because it was brought up, in a sense, better word of SOP was what was being talked about right there.
Hmm?
So you,
What?
well, she said she wanted a list of what every job duty,
No.
Oh.
that's what I
No,
heard.
no,
That's
no,
not
no, no,
what she said.
no, I'm
Okay,
saying,
okay.
no, I'm saying
Two
getting a
different things,
list, getting a list of
Topics.
from topics and priorities in order to, come up with a proper,
Okay.
um,
Well, I thought you were saying
It's very hard
that if
to
we
do
had the
budget.
staff, we need to know what they're gonna be doing.
Yeah, that's actually a different
That's
question.
what I
I know where you can.
Different subject should be addressed later.
And that's why I wanted to clarify it, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Clarify. Okay, moving on.
and thank council, I wanna again thank council for diligently working on all these difficult subjects over the last 2 years, because they have been mounting, and we've been in discovery mode, and they have a lot of different legs, so I do wanna thank council for continuing to work as hard as they do on stuff, it's not easy, and
Well, thank you. I mean, you're the boots on the ground. You take our ideas and formulate them, or put them into fruition, so thank you. And Ross, she's not here.
I know a lot of people don't get it, but we all spend a lot of sleepless nights trying to figure out how to make it work, and,
And that goes unnoticed. It does. Okay, 4.5 is update council on records project.
So, I think it's been about 2 meetings ago, just in the general conversation, it was how's that going? So about 95% of the paper has been gone through. There was another set of boxes unearthed in the shed, we thought everything was in, but going through those, it's been a sorting process, so you have to, when you don't know what's in a box, and and unfortunately, in the boxes, everything in the boxes are not consistent. For those who don't know, there was a town secretary, I guess it smoked like a freight train, and we've gone through smoky boxes, boxes of, things that have feces from geckos, all kinds of stuff, but It's been interesting. So about 95% of that is scanned now, at least into our server. Now will come the task of getting that all organized in electronic format, having to find out if there's any duplications, trying to go through and according to law and figure out what was viable, what wasn't viable. So that is still moving. I'm gonna say now the scanning and going through the paper part, 95% finished. Now becomes the electronic part of it that is, that's not easy. I sat one Sunday afternoon and went through a lot of things, but we're still plugging away on that. That's been a huge undertaking, and I've talked to some of the other towns and said, well, who did you get to do it? Said, it's not something you can get someone else to do. So it's helping us know what we have and what we don't have. So I'm extremely pleased with that. That was a huge thing when I got here. I would get calls for things and had no way of finding them. It was almost to a point where I could say I can't do this because I can't find anything. So I'm excited about that. Just want to let y'all know we're still plugging away on that one.
How much is left to sort and scan?
How much? Probably, so we've got 3 boxes, old boxes that I know of, and we've got a couple of doors. Our biggest thing that we're leaving to the end is our contracts. There's a drawer full of jam-packed full of just contracts and agreements and things that we're gonna have to go through each one of those and look at them, see if they require formal cancellation, if they've expired under their terms, if they're operating under an evergreen. There's quite a bit there, so.
Do we have an ETA for that?
No, it's as we can. That will be the last thing. There's probably.
Would it take 6 months?
I can't tell you. I'm not gonna tie down the time. We're hoping we wanna get it done. We'd like to just stop everything we're doing so we can get finished with it. That's not possible.
Yeah, that's not possible.
So, but I've got Roz focused on, her main focus is that, so we can get to the end of it. If not, it would be what we were finding. It looks like probably 20 years ago, somebody started the process, never finished it, and then somebody else just chunked it off in a corner somewhere. And
Yeah, I've gone through probably 20 plus boxes, right? Over the course of the year.
20?
40? How many boxes have gone through over the year?
Over 100.
I
Over
mean,
100 boxes through the year?
there's tons, and then there's the file cabinets, so, there's a lot.
There is a whole lot. Anything else on that? All right, moving on to 4.6. At this time, I'm gonna close the meeting in accordance with section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. The council will convene in an executive session to deliberate the appointment or replacement of vacated planning and zoning commission members and alternates. No action will be taken in the closed session, and then also deliberate the appointment, evaluation, reassignment of duties of a public officer or employee. No actions will be taken in the closed session of this also. So we stand closed for now. We're gonna reconvene, and if you wanna stay, you can stay. I don't know how long we're gonna be in there for.
But we'll adjourn when